Hey, welcome back. Let's continue with our RSP journey. This is a two-part RSP series, so if you haven't watched my previous one, I suggest you watch that one first. Now for part 2, I will talk about 3 things. 1. What is the deadline for RSP? Or is that even one? 2. Why 18%? And number 3, what is the RSP withdrawal rules and when is the best time to do it? So as usual, please smash the like button if you like this kind of content. Let's get started. RSP is a tax shelter account designed to help Canadians plan for their retirement. RSP allows you to defer your taxes to a future year, ideally when you retire. First of all, is there a deadline to contribute to RSP to offset my taxes? So the short answer is no, because you have to hold January 1st to December 31st to contribute to RSP to offset your taxes in the same calendar year, so you can do it anytime that you want. However, there's something called the first 60 days rule, meaning that any RSP contribution made in the first 60 days of the year can still count towards last year's contribution. For example, let's say we're in 2022 right now, and Tom is working on his 2021 tax. He has the whole 2021 calendar year to contribute to RSP, and on top of that, he can also contribute more into his RSP in the first 60 days of 2022, which is January 1st to March 1st, 2022. That contribution, he can either use it to offset his taxes in 2021 only if he wants to, or he can use it towards his 2022 taxes. And many years ago, the banks know most of the Canadians are reactive to things instead of being proactive, so the banks see this as an opportunity. They heavily advertise the first 60 days as the RSP season, so when the average folks hear about this, then they will contribute more into the RSP or maybe consider for an RSP loan. And that's why the key is being proactive. Don't wait until February to contribute a huge lump sum into the RSP. Do monthly automatic contribution. That way, you can reduce the market risk by dollar cost averaging. Also, you're not in rush to contribute. And speaking of RSP loan, I have a video that talks about the pros and cons for the RSP loan. Be sure to check it out. One of the most common questions I get asked is, "Hey Thomas, why is the RSP contribution is set at 18% of your income last year? Why not 10% or 20%? It's best to illustrate this with an example. According to Statistics Canada, Canadians will most likely be spending 70% of what they make today for retirement. So if Peter is making $100,000 now, most likely he will need $70,000 when he retired, and therefore he will ideally need $1.4 million in saving. Why this amount? Because if you have $1.4 million and have 5% return per year, then you will have $70,000 per year to spend without touching the principal. This gives you a healthy nest egg to live on. Now the question then becomes how much, how long, and what rate of return will you need in order to save $1.4 million? Let's work the math backwards. In order to save $1.4 million, say in 35 years, the average work span, and we have a conservative rate of return average of 4% per year, then we need to contribute $18,000 per year to have that $1.4 million in 35 years. Now, if you do the math, $18,000 out of the $100,000 is, you guess it, that's where the 18% limit comes from. From there, you will understand a couple of things. First, we need to save consistently for a long period of time. Second, you also need a decent rate of return, meaning with the current environment, putting everything into a saving account do not work anymore. Like time and compound effects do the heavy lifting. The semi-good news is, it's easier to get more than 4% nowadays. The S&P 500 index, for instance, which most people use as a benchmark, made around 10.5%, and therefore we don't really need to put 18% or need 35 years to save for retirement. Now let's focus on what happens when you withdraw from your RSP. RSP is a tax-deferred tool, which means when you withdraw the money, you have to pay tax 100% on the withdrawal. Contrary to popular belief, you don't actually get penalized for withdrawing money from your RSP early. Yes, you will have to pay tax on it, however, but you have to do that anyway, no matter when you withdraw the money, whether you are 30 or the age of 70. But of course, there are a couple major downsides to withdraw your RSP early. The first is that obviously you don't let the money grow tax shelter within your RSP. If you see my other videos, I've shown you the advantage of compound interest over time, especially when you don't have to pay tax on your capital gains. Another downside when you withdraw money from your RSP is that you do not regain this contribution room. That room is gone forever. This is very different from the tax-free savings, say, where if I was to withdraw $18,000 from the tax-free saving this year, you will regain that contribution room next year. But this doesn't work for RSP. As soon as you make a withdrawal from your RSP, that contribution room is gone forever. You can never put that money back in. However, there are two exceptions that you don't have to pay the tax when you withdraw: the first home buyer's plan and the lifelong learning plan. The home buyer's plan is to help you to buy a place, and the lifelong learning plan is if neither you or your spouse wish to go back to school. These two programs can help you fund the purchase of your first home or fund post-secondary education for you or your spouse, but not for the kids though. These are very popular programs, but there are some rules to consider, and they are not always the best routes to take. And lastly, you're probably earning more income if you withdraw early, so you'll be taxed at a higher rate. If you have a higher salary, you'll be in a high tax bracket. Now, if you make the same withdrawal out of your RSP during retirement, your income will be much smaller, so you'll be paying much less tax. So let's go for an example. Let's say you have an income of $100,000 per year. Roughly, you'll be paying 25% of taxes, meaning $25,000 goes to the CRA. So in theory, every dollar that you put into your RSP, you will save around 25 cents in taxes. However, if you take out $20,000 from your RSP for emergency, then it will add towards your total income, which is now $120,000, which means the tax bracket is now at 28% and you have to pay $33,000 in taxes. Now, let's see what happens if you make the same withdrawal during retirement when you have a lower income. Let's say you have a pension plan that pays out $30,000 per year, and now you take out the same $20,000 out of your RSP, which makes your income total of $50,000. The average tax bracket is at 20%, which is around $10,000, a big difference from the $33,000 you will pay if you took it out early. And not only that, in order to prevent you from not being able to pay the taxes from the RSP withdrawal, your bank or the financial institution will immediately charge you a withholding tax. Let's break down how the withholding tax works. If you withdraw $5,000 or less from your RSP, you will pay 10% in withholding tax and you will keep $4,500 or less. If you withdraw between $5,001 and $15,000, you will pay 20% upfront. And you withdraw more than $50,000, you'll pay 30% right away in withholding taxes. Meaning if you need $20,000, you need to withdraw $30,000 from your RSP. Let them withhold 30%, you'll get $20,000 in your pocket, but you are taxed at $30,000. Then at the end of the year, when you file your taxes, you will neither receive a tax refund if you pay too much in withholding taxes, or you have to pay even more in taxes if there's a difference. Remember, withholding tax isn't a penalty, but it does force you to pay some more taxes upfront, then pay the rest when you file your tax returns. A little neat trick is, if you really need $20,000 from your RSP, don't take it out in lump sum. Instead, 4 times of $5,000 withdrawal. That way, you save a bit in the withholding tax. But hey, remember, you might need to write a check back to CRA when you file your taxes. Even in retirement, when you withdraw that money from your RSP, be prepared to pay the withholding tax upfront. If you want to avoid that during your retirement, before the age of 71, you have the option to convert your RSP into a RRIF, a Registered Retirement Income Fund. You're required to withdraw a certain amount per year, but that amount is free of withholding tax. However, you're also mandatory to switch from an RSP to RRIF after the age of 71, so sooner or later, you still need to start withdrawing. But you can take advantage of the timing. The amount you're required to withdraw is determined by age. If you're 75, you take 5.82% out of your entire RRIF account, and by the time you're age 90, the rate shoots up to 12%. You still have to pay taxes on these withdrawals just like an RSP, so that's why it's not a good idea to have too much RSP in your retirement years. You might have to pay more taxes, and not mentioning losing some of the government benefits like the OA security. I will share more about the RRIF in the future videos. For now, I will say, RSP is a great tool for us to offset our taxes, using the current pre-tax money to fund our retirement or pay for a house. The higher the income you are, the better it is. However, it definitely requires your attention, say 10 years before you retire. The banks will always promote how good it is when you deposit, but they fail to tell you the other side of the story. So if you find all these confusing, you're not alone. It can be very complicated, so once again, please talk to your financial advisor about your specific situation before moving on. Alright, let me know in the comment section if you like this video or not. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.